We're waiting. Okay, and we are live here with Melissa Cobb. Yes, it's Litvak Leadership Live, and let me tell you, it was a kind of moment because 8 minutes ago, Melissa's like, on Facebook Messenger, I got technical issues. So we're trying to figure out how to get it all working. And she kept getting this message on her phone that said, cannot overlay Chrome cannot overlay StreamYard because something is using your camera and microphone. And then we realized we were on the phone, therefore the microphone was being used. Ah, aren't we funny? So yes, that is and then bam. So here we go. So if any of you, or really when all of you in the future become a guest on Litvak Leadership Live, it's always good to check it out. Make sure you can get into the studio because this is 2 days in a row. I'm going ba boom, ba boom, ba boom. But hey, it's good. So, Melissa, how are you today?
I am quite well. Thank you, Mr. Lipbach. I surely appreciate you having me here today. This is exciting and fun. Thank you. How are you?
You, I am great. I am driving through parts I shall not disclose because we don't talk about when we cross state borders. So I am driving, and I am headed back to Louisville. And
Yay.
and it's fun. I'm getting an interesting phone call at the moment. We'll see if I get the phone call back.
Oh, I was
Anyways,
going to say we could bring him into the conversation.
we but it's on the phone and not here. So anyways, um, Melissa, this is our second call today. The first one was with IFMA. That's where Melissa and I know each other. It was a group call then. But Melissa works for Signorama downtown Louisville, and she's been busier than, a one-armed paper hanger, to use an old phrase. Uh, Melissa, tell everyone exactly what you do there.
Well, thank you for asking. And what I do there is I wear many, many hats. I do
Okay.
mostly business development.
Okay.
So I have the opportunity to get out and meet a lot of folks and share the message from Sinorama Downtown. I'm also very involved in, of course, IFMA, how we met, and several other smaller groups that I frequent and support in the community. And I sell signage, interior, exterior signage, vehicle graphics, really all of your marketing messages, whether they be COVID, whether they be rebranding, whether they be new branding. All we cover just about everything. I usually like to say we do everything but billboard.
Everything but billboards. Okay, so that narrows it down somewhat. And you have a background in art?
I do. In my previous incarnation, I was partners in a company called Pinkerton House Portfolio, and what we did were corporate. We were a corporate art service, so we were a partner for commercial interior designers, architects, and then of course I did work with facilities folks. I had the pleasure way back in the day of working with George
Oh,
over
okay.
at one of our members, Mary Hurst, and it was a pleasure. He said, "I remember you," so it made me feel great when I got involved with
You're
HIPAA.
unforgettable.
Right. Oh, yes. And so, yeah, that I spent 23 years of my life doing an inordinate amount of healthcare artwork.
Wow.
And it was very interesting. I did a lot of research on specific units and what those units and their patients actually needed to see for best outcomes and health, better living, all of those things. And color can make a very large difference in the world. Excuse me. Um, Sorry. So it makes very big difference in people's health outcomes. And once I started learning what geriatrics needed to see versus our pediatric units, of course, it
Sure.
was really interesting and a whole lot of fun. So I was able to bring a lot of that knowledge into the signage business. So it's dovetailed very nicely.
So like signs, I'm looking where I am now, and I see a sign on an air conditioning unit. And it's
Yes.
probably got like the BTUs and things like that. And I know that's not the type of signs you do, but how do you keep signs or really make signs informative yet visually appealing and interesting? I mean, what is the thought process?
Well, typically my customer is my thought process. I listen to what their needs are first, find out what their message is, where this is, of course, installing, how they want it branded, if they want it branded. There are myriad of reasons for signage, and they all are very site specific. So
Okay.
that's what I usually do, is just listen to what my customer needs first, and then I manage to figure out our best solutions for them and that messaging.
So what are some of the more interesting signs that would, be really kind of unique that people wouldn't necessarily think of as, quote, a sign?
Oh gosh. Well, anything that sends you a message actually is a sign.
Okay.
So I will share. Well, I've got a little bit of information I'll share that are statistics, but I'm trying to think of. They're so common and so ubiquitous, and we take signage so much for advantage, because when it's not there, you know it. You don't
Right.
know where you're going. You don't know what you're supposed to do. And I think a lot of people take advantage, they don't put it together that until they don't have direction, how important signage truly is. And so and frankly, it's all a message. Anything that's posted that people feel like, oh, that's an interesting sign, or it's giving you a message of some sort, that's signage. So I really wish I had a better answer for you than that, Sean. I'm not thinking of anything right now that you wouldn't consider signage.
So
But
so
I'm
let's Kenny Mayberry, Annie's Pizza. He's saying
yes.
hello to us. And Kenny's family business uh, has been around for years and years, and I have no idea if he's looking for a new sign. I know that their logo is kind of a how would I put it? It's more of a classic animation as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to a modern animation. So when you're like looking at something like a pizza place,
Uh-huh.
does it make sense to, look at the logo and the signage and all that? Does that sell more pepperoni?
Well, I have to say, your sign will always sell more pepperoni. And what I would like to share is, as far as these statistics go, 76% of people who have never entered a shop or a restaurant will do so because of the signage.
Okay.
76%. That's amazing. Once in that business, 67% will make a purchase. So your signage does everything for you. It speaks volumes. And so what happens is, typically most of my customers already have a logo they've been using for years. A
Right.
lot of times, if they feel like they want to freshen it up, we can tweak that logo a little bit for them to bring it back up. Coca-Cola rebrands about every 2 years.
Right.
And that is due to the fact that they just want to stay current and contemporary. So
Absolutely.
what I will do is, if I have customers that have been long standing customers and been in business a long time, they want to freshen up their brand, we can do that for them and not change those graphics so much so that people that they leave that brand, that we
Okay.
don't identify with it anymore because they changed it.
Okay. And so, but how do you keep the past within the future? I mean,
Well, I can give you a perfect example of that. We just did a
okay.
sign for the cafe that is down in Paris Town.
Okay.
And they used to be right there in Paris Town, and then they moved across the street into the new warehouse building. And while their signage looks like it's 100 years old,
Right.
we were able to make it a very vintage looking sign with all LEDs, very contemporary guts. But the visual, we did some hand painting on that we have an artist that we use that we bring in for just those sorts of things. She's also done some work on the interior of some mural work for us. So a lot of the interior work you see at Grassa Grama was done by the same gal that works with us at Signorama. So she's amazing. So we do a lot of hand painted signs. That way we can utilize the contemporary materials, but yet make it look like it's 100 years old.
So Kenny's question is, how often should you redo your sign that's outside? You know, how often does it need a refreshing?
Well, I think that's all according to, of course, what that sign looks like. I mean, I've seen several signs that are 10, 15 years old that are in very good shape. And obviously somebody spent an inordinate amount of time and money to make those signs, give those signs the longevity. You can look at a sign that was made at a very cost-conscious price. And
cost-conscious. I need to remember that phrase.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Cost-conscious pricing, and because they're trying to get a restaurant open, they're trying to get a business open, and then typically a couple of years later, they'll go ahead and upgrade that signage. I believe that if your vinyl looks like it's fading, if you constantly replacing, LED lighting, things of that nature, that is a conversation we can have for sure.
So I've seen, where now I hate to call it, and I'm not even going to use the phrase because I hate the phrase, therefore I won't use it. But it's more important now than ever that that the signs are out and people know where they're supposed to be going and what they're supposed to be doing, and how are you getting people with all the information that's coming in front of us? How are you getting the sign to leap out at somebody?
Oh, well, most of the time it's with their branding. If we're not using branding, we will create a design. Our graphics department can create a design that gives our customer what they're looking for if they're needing that quote unquote, when this is a word I don't typically care for, but pop is historically used. And that's exactly, it's like yesterday I had a memorial service I needed to go to. I was providing some signage for it. They just needed a couple of things that said additional parking. Well, it wasn't very attractive just to say additional parking. So we did some really nice border work and just to dress up that little, that little sign and make it more noticeable and appropriate to the venue and to the event itself.
So I know you've worked on some really cool exterior signs that are like standalone from the building, because I'll see you post pictures, say that 4 times fast, on Facebook or even Instagram of the signs. What are some of the cooler signs you've worked on this year?
Oh, one of my big favorites, it was a 24-foot blade sign, and a blade sign is one that kind of sticks out. Here's your wall, and then your sign is really out and long and comes all the way down. So it's basically a skinny vertical sign that branches, has an arm out of the wall, so that signage just kind of slides onto a couple of saddles. It sounds a lot easier when I say it like that than it actually was. We needed cranes and all that good stuff, but that sign was amazing. Now the one we did that wasn't this year, but Maggie Harlow did the amazing rabbit hole reticulating sign. So if you stand in front of, to the left, you will see the rabbit hole sign. You'll see it says rabbit hole. If you go to the other side of that sign to the far right and look left, you will see an image of a bunny. There were 27 large
Wow.
pieces of steel that we actually individually covered with each small piece of vinyl so that we created that image once you
Wow.
stood back. It was quite the undertaking. It was amazing. We're so proud of that sign. The cityscape sign is the blade sign that I was sharing with you.
And
Then,
for people who don't know, I'm sorry, Rabbit
yeah,
Hole is an urban
yeah,
distillery
thank
in
you.
Louisville, Kentucky. You know, we do have a worldwide reach. We may only have 5 people on, but you know, literally these videos get hundreds of views within 24 hours. So I'm just letting everyone know Rabbit Hole Distillery in Louisville. So go on with the interesting signs.
Yes, so that one was a really interesting signs. I did some amazing interior signs using some original barn wood, and we created this for a customer who was very rural. Most of their customers are rural customers,
Okay.
and so they wanted to stay in tandem with, of course, their brand and who their customers are. So we came up with a sign system for them that has turned out absolutely beautiful. It was quite the effort. There's some spray painting, there was some acrylic, there's some screws. There's a lot of really interesting pieces and parts to create this signage. And I'm sorry if I really wish I could share those, but you can go to signoramadowntown.com and take
There
a
you
look
go.
at our website and see all the amazing things that we do. So I do a lot of interior. I have several customers that are developers that we work in multifamily communities. Also, I guess excuse me, it's escaping me now. I should have had lunch. I'm sorry, everyone. The senior living and assisted living facilities. We do a lot of schools. So we do as much interior signage as we do large exterior signage.
So business has to be booming with the schools at the
Yeah,
moment, I
well,
would think.
the schools themselves, actually, most of one of the schools that I'm working with are schools that are under refurb.
Okay.
And refurbishment. I'm doing those bids now for, I guess, 3 or 4 different schools here locally from the JCPS school system. So yes, we're doing an inordinate amount of signage, and most of that is as COVID. Those are decals, social distancing. Please stand here. Here's our protocol upon entry, temperatures, things of those of
Sure.
that nature.
So, so what's the wildest idea for a sign that someone's come to you with, and you guys were like, okay, we're going to have to invent technology for that to happen because it just can't, but they've had just this incredible idea.
Well, actually, that rabbit hole sign is a perfect example. They wanted to be able to see from the left their brand, and then from the right, they wanted 2 things at the same time. And so it was a matter of working through the logistics of how to make that happen. They had their engineer involved. They helped us and supported us in making helping us make those decisions as far as correct materials, things of that nature. And it was truly a village effort on that sign. So I think that would probably be my best, because it was just, I mean, mind blowing. And when I saw the photos, I thought, oh my gosh, how are we gonna? And of course, our amazing team said, we got this.
Sure.
It just,
They got this beautiful mock-up and you're like,
oh yeah.
it don't work that way.
No, and that's the other thing about signage that so many folks don't understand. It's amazing to me that the cost that goes into signage, it's
Mm-hmm.
not what people think it is, but there are a million ways with so much in the way of material out there to be able to make 2 of the same sign and achieve essentially the same, of course, message. It's just about, you're talking about materials and longevity, and is this outside or inside? And And so those are all very interesting, very valid points with regards to signage.
So I've seen this phenomena this year with signs,
Yes.
um, of these like giant yard signs that say, "Happy birthday, Kayla,"
Yes.
or "It's a boy," but it's like these enormous signs. Do you all make those for people too, or is someone ordering those online? What's the deal with those
Well,
signs?
and I was going to say, I'm not sure I'm familiar with how large this sign is you're referring to.
It's got to be like if someone is having a birthday party for their kid, the
Uh-huh.
sign, it's like individual letters, like looks like letters put together or whatever, but the sign's like 12 foot long and it's not square. It's like cut out and it looks like it's like, the material that like a political sign is made out of?
Yes.
Okay, so it's like that material, but it
Okay.
could also be like two levels where it says like happy or where it's like Kayla,
Oh, yeah.
happy birthday. You know what I'm talking about? No, those
Okay.
giant signs for different things.
Okay. So I'm speculating here because
Hmm.
I can't see it, but that material is what we call coroplast, and
Okay.
we use that for our yard signs, and typically standard yard signs 18 by 24. I'm curious when you say this, if are they using multiple yard signs together and then a taller step stake behind, do you think?
I, I, you,
I don't
you
know
know,
that I've seen these.
our kids are grown and out of the house, so we don't celebrate them in that way anymore. We celebrate that we don't have to pay rent or health insurance for them. Um, so because they got that on their own now. I know Bruce is saying maybe foam letters. I'm gonna next time I see one, Melissa, I'm gonna take a
Okay,
picture of it and say this is
please
what I'm
do.
talking.
I would love that. I love to have new things in my arsenal so that I can always share new things with customers and that are different ideas that I hadn't seen. Thank you.
Speaking of things in your arsenal, write this name down, Kenny Mayberry. He
I
uh
see him. Hi,
he
Kenny.
He wants to meet you, so send him a Facebook Messenger introduction because I know you don't even have to be friends to do that, and you
Okay,
guys can hook up and talk. It sounds like Kenny may want to talk about his signage.
great. I will look
So,
forward to speaking with you, Kenny. I'll be in touch.
as a matter of fact, Kenny was our guest last Friday. If you haven't seen that
I'll
episode,
go
so
take
you
a
can.
look.
Yeah, so for people to see old episodes, you can either scroll through Facebook or you can go to YouTube, type in my name, and then you'll find my YouTube page. And
Yes,
while I'm talking about that here, we'll take a brief commercial break. I'm looking for more people to subscribe to my YouTube page because I need to get to 100 subscribers to make it Litvak Leadership YouTube as opposed to having to type my name in and
got
find it that way. So go to YouTube, type in my name, and then subscribe, and then I'll be closer to those 100 subscribers. Anyways, back to signs.
love it.
So now that the seasons are, adjusting and the, horror of fall back and winter darkness is coming,
Yeah,
uh, and as an extrovert, I have a feeling you feel about that like I do. It's like, oh my God, let me see the sun again, please.
yes.
Um, from a signage perspective, what should people be doing with, the coming onslaught of darkness?
Well, the coming onslaught of light it up, light it up. And get your signs turned on. And most of them, of course, are on a timer. I always recommend folks get a timer when we do installations on your large exterior signs. I was actually going to talk with somebody, and I don't know about this, and so I'm embarrassed to say it out loud because it may.
Okay.
But I was thinking about doing. I wanted to figure out a way to do lit decals.
Yeah.
So yeah, either that, whether it's, and I'm not sure. And now the whole world is going to start to make them because I've decided they're a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well, Can you embed LEDs in decals?
Well, I mean, I'm sure we can, but I can't, you can't walk on them, right?
Oh,
Because,
well,
so I'm trying to figure out a way. And that's one of my favorite things about signage, because there are a million ways to skin that cat. We just have to figure out what the right way is. So that's what I've been noodling with, that because it is getting darker earlier. People are going to be outside so much more, even though they're going to be bundled up. Everybody's going to get real comfortable with being outside with this COVID thing.
oh yeah.
And I thought, there's got to be a way to help light those decals, or a way to change things up for signage during this kind of time. I don't know what that is just yet, as far as the creative juices flowing for me. But I do know that I have a feeling that this winter we're going to have a lot of folks pretty much just hunkered down.
Yeah, and I'm not a hunker kind of guy. So do you guys so with the signage, do you guys do the masks with various logos and stuff, or is that more of apparel?
Well, that typically comes out of your promotional markets,
Got it.
water bottles, things of that nature. And not long ago, I've got to tell you, for $32, you too can buy an LED mask. And so
Oh, come
your
on.
message can go across in an LED on your mask. Pretty cool.
And
I
then you
know.
get to gently wipe the inside out because you certainly can't wash that.
Because I have no idea, but I ran into our sales manager, Keith Watkins. He's awesome. He loves everything that lights up. And so, bless him, I said, oh my gosh, look, they've come up with LED. So I'm pretty sure he's already ordered one. And I'll have to get him to post something about that, because I think it's a brilliant idea. You can brand and send your message. And I don't sell those, so you can get them on Amazon. And if I sold them, I'd have to have a markup on them.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
so we've reached the point in the show that it's time for Michelle, because normally we wait until 30 minutes and go a little over, but Michelle's got another meeting because she's in Michelle, listen to me. Melissa has another meeting. She is in high demand and it starts in 3 minutes. So in the remaining time we've got left, Melissa, what do you want people to take away from this conversation today? What do you want them to remember about you?
Well, what I'd like you to remember about me is that I am always going to support your projects. Signage is a passion for me. It didn't start out that way, and it has become such. So it's important for me to let everybody know that I'm here for you. Give me a call, give me a text. I'm happy to help you out. Interior, exterior, just questions. Or, hey, I don't know where to get something like this. You might be able to help me. And if I can't, I will always refer you to the right folks and connect you, even if I can't do so. So just remember, I got you, customer service. Whatever you need, whether that's signage or maybe something else in the city. I'd like to think I'm pretty well connected and know a lot of really amazing people like yourself, Sean, who I know that I can refer to and be confident that they're going to take good care of who I send their way. So
Awesome.
thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Oh, thank you. You are fun. You are exciting, and you're easy to talk to.
Well,
So,
likewise, Sean. I
well,
appreciate the
thank you.
opportunity for sure. And next time, I would love to come back when I'm a little better prepared. So I apologize if I didn't share nearly enough about signs today.
Oh no, you shared great. You're a good guest. All right, everyone. This is the Thursday edition on the road of Litvak Leadership Live. Tune in tomorrow. We have another guest booked. As a matter of fact, next week is actually booking up quick.